Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kaylee Mills and I'm the founder and creator of Measure Me Whole. So this is the second video in a new recipe series called Foodie Friday, where I invite you guys into my kitchen and show you how to cook super delicious, fun, healthy recipes that the whole family will enjoy. So last week I had the opportunity to team up with my friends over at Lauren's Sports and Fitness, and we created a huge batch of healthy homemade granola. It was delicious. So if you want to catch that video, feel free to click the link here and you can watch it. And as always, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel here, so that way you never miss a recipe video. This is the very first video on my personal channel, so I wanted to take a quick minute and introduce myself, let you guys get to know a little more about me and who I am. So, like I said, my name is Kaylee Mills. I'm a certified nutritionist and the founder of Measure Me Whole. So I actually received my degree from Georgia Southern University, Hail Southern, in nutrition and food science with a community nutrition emphasis. So a huge misconception that I get all the time is that since I'm a nutritionist, I must have always loved health, wellness, and fitness. And that is absolutely not the truth. I actually grew up very unhealthy. I was super overweight, hated vegetables. I would cry when I had to go get some physical activity in. So it was rough. And then when I was a teenager, I decided that I wanted to change the stigma. I no longer wanted to be the overweight girl in school, and so I was going to lose the weight. And so I kind of fell into some unhealthy eating practices. I tried pretty much every diet out there on the market. I mean, if you name it, I bought into it. I did South Beach diet. I did Atkins diet, which is now known as the keto diet. Fasting, I even fell into not eating, diet pills, all that stuff. And to be honest, I did more harm than good. I fell into a yo-yo dieting effect where I would, follow the program to a T. I was in, I was sold out, and I would achieve my goals. And then at the end of those 30, 60 days, whatever, I would gain my weight back, sometimes more than I had lost. So I would gain extra weight. And then I got to the point where I was really frustrated. I no longer wanted to do it, gave up, said this is not for me. I'm supposed to be the heavy girl. And so I accepted that truth for some time, and then in the second semester of my freshman year of college, I decided, my health is taking a toll on me. I need to take this seriously if I want to live a long life. So I decided to declare a degree in nutrition. What better way to get healthy than to surround myself with healthy people and healthy concepts. So I also wanted to reach my goals in a healthy way. I had done so many unhealthy things to my body that I no longer wanted to chase my dreams if it was going to just leave me empty-handed at the end of the day. So I pursued a degree in nutrition and food science. 4 years later, I not only graduated in 2017 with my degree and a head full of knowledge of all things healthy, but I had lost the weight. I had achieved my goal, kept it off, fell in love with being active. Not only did I lose the weight and keep it off, I became an example for other people, and I was actually able to pursue some athletic endeavors. I decided to pursue bodybuilding for some time, found out that wasn't necessarily for me, but I did achieve some goals there. So I graduated feeling accomplished. And so after graduating, I decided I wanted to take my passion to another level, and my really huge main goal was to help people who were struggling just like I did. I wanted to find that girl or that guy who felt like their goals were impossible and that they were never going to be able to achieve them, because I had felt that. I wanted to make their goals possible, and I wanted to let them know that they could achieve those wellness goals for themselves. So I founded Measure Me Whole. I created a health and wellness business that my main tagline or my main goal was to help my clients find joy in holistic living, because you need to have joy in the journey to enjoy it. So that was my goal. So I founded Measure Me Whole on the principles that food is medicine and it's downright good for the soul, and that is the key to your success. And one thing that I always let my clients know is that not only is your nutrition and your wellness really important, but for your overall well-being, you need to include your mental, physical, and spiritual fitness as well. So I incorporate all those tactics into helping clients. So in 2017, graduated, created a successful, flourishing business that I've been able to help many, many different clients achieve their goals. I've worked with many types of people through all walks of life, but I also was able to, in that 3-year period, become a wife, become best friend. You know, I've been able to marry my best friend, Brad, and we've been together. We've dated for quite some time. We were together for a total of 5 years, and we've been married for 3. And now I am an expectant first-time mommy to be. So still not fully popping. I'm 18 weeks pregnant, but I'm super pumped to invite this little boy that I have growing inside me into the world in September, and I'm so pumped to be his mom. So now that you guys know a little more about me and who I am and a little bit of my personal life, let's move into this recipe. So this recipe is one that is very near and dear to my heart because it's one I grew up eating. And now I say that and you guys are like, wait, you didn't like vegetables, so how is this going to be healthy? This is actually a recipe my mom used to make. My mom was so awesome growing up. She is still awesome. We're best friends. And she did all that she could to try to get my little lazy self active, and she did feed us healthy. I was that child that would go sneak into the pantry in the middle of the night and hide junk food and eat it. Like, it was not good. I also would go to my grandma's house and get whatever I wanted to eat there. So that's where my unhealthy habits stem from, not my mom. But I did fall in love with cooking because of my mom. My mom's Italian, so you know, we cooked a lot growing up. So when I was 5, I had my own little stool. I would pull it up next to her and I would either watch her cook or be able to help. So that's where my passion for food kind of came from. So we're going to be cooking an Italian dish that she used to make. It's really simple, super easy, and it's one that I asked her if I could helpify it just a little bit because she used to make tomato basil pasta with balsamic chicken. And it was so good. It's really light and refreshing. It's comforting all at the same time because, you know, pasta is one of those comfort foods that I just grew up loving. But I am going to create this a little bit healthier, so we're going to be pushing that pasta aside for a little bit, and we're going to incorporate a vegetable. So this recipe not only is going to be low carb, but it's also going to be packed with veggies, so that way you can sneak those veggies in for your kids or anybody that's just a little bit of a picky eater, because I would definitely eat this dish as a child and have 0 complaints. So I'm going to teach you guys how to cook spaghetti squash, incorporate it in this dish, and you're going to fall in love with this vegetable because it is a staple in our household. So first things first, we're going to want to cut our spaghetti squash in half. And that can be an intimidating task because, I mean, look at this thing. It's bigger than my head. So what we're going to do is we're going to soften the shell. And before we go into that, I did want to mention the different sizes of spaghetti squash and why that even matters. So for example, we're a household of 2, about to be 3, but my little one is not going to be eating solid foods for a while. So typically, if it's just Brad and I, we're going to be eating a smaller spaghetti squash. I would say grab a small spaghetti squash for a household of 1 to 2 people. So in college, this is the size I would have grabbed for myself, and I would have had leftovers for the next day. Brad and I are huge lovers of leftovers. I'm all about cooking a meal and not having to cook the next day because, I mean, even though I love cooking, I don't want to be on my feet all the time right now. So I would typically grab a medium spaghetti squash. A medium spaghetti squash is going to feed a family of 3 to 4. I would recommend, you know, getting one of those. If you have more of a heartier table where you guys eat a little more, maybe test out the large and you'll have leftovers. It's better to have more than not enough. So that's, I mean, I hate having to go back to the store after I get home. So I would say 1 to 2 people, 3 to 4, and then 4 or more. And so if you have a household of like maybe 5 or 6 people, try grabbing a large and a small spaghetti squash. You'll be glad that you have both. But now that we have our squash, I'm going to put this small one to the side because we're not going to cook with it today. I'm actually going to cook the large one so you can see kind of all the things that have to go into it. But like I said, we're going to slice the spaghetti squash in half before we cook it. Now, this is one thing I want to point out. I have many a scar and almost lost plenty of fingers trying to cut a raw spaghetti squash in half. We're going to want to soften the shell of this. So in order to do that, we're going to take a fork and we're going to poke holes all over our squash and we're going to stick it in the microwave for a few minutes. A small spaghetti squash will go in the microwave for about 3 to 5 minutes. Sometimes you'll get lucky with your small one and it will already be tender enough to shred and you won't have to cook it in the oven. But I will say, for the medium at large, I enjoy cooking it in the oven, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, just because it gets the noodle more tender. So these are not going to be like a regular noodle, but you'll see when I get in there what it looks like. But cooking it in the oven definitely gives you a more al dente pasta-like noodle compared to just cooking it in the microwave. Also, cooking in the microwave gives you kind of an uneven cook, so some parts will be softer than others. So I would recommend cooking it in the oven. So I'm going to poke holes all through my spaghetti squash, and we're going to throw it in the microwave. A large one I would put in the microwave for about 8 minutes. We'll slice in half, scoop the seeds out, and bake it for the rest of the time, about 15 minutes in the oven. A medium squash, I would say 5 to 7 minutes. But let's get to stabbing. So we'll just stab all around. All right, so we have our spaghetti squash all poked all over. You don't have to do this in any special order. I just stab it all over. Then I'm gonna stick it in the microwave for 8 minutes. So here we go. All right, so now our spaghetti squash is out of the microwave. One thing I wanted to let you guys know is it will be super hot whenever you pull it out of the microwave. So I suggest either pulling it out with some pot holders and letting it sit for a few minutes, or leaving it in the microwave for a few minutes. This one is still pretty hot, but the skin is a little softer, so it's going to be easier to cut with this knife. So we're going to just stab it through the middle and kind of draw our knife down. This thing is as big as my whole body. And we're just going to flip it and continue to cut until you're able to pull it apart. So now you have a beautiful spaghetti squash, still not fully cooked, but we've pulled it apart, and we're going to scrape the seeds out, discard them, and then I will show you how to cook them in your oven. We've got our squash seedless now, and then we will bake it in the oven. So this is going to probably need to go for an additional 15 to 20 minutes. So you can kind of guesstimate. The sides are a little tender already, so that's a good sign. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our cutting board out of the way, take both halves of our spaghetti squash, and we're going to put it in a 9x13. So what I would recommend is sticking it face down in your 9x13. These are really big ones. So like this one has a little stem on it. I'm going to take my knife and go ahead and just try to cut that off so I can fit it in this pan better. So we're going to stick it in the pan, and I'm going to fill it with some water about 2/3 of the way or halfway up the squash, and we're going to place it in our oven at 375 for 15 to 20 minutes. Now that we have our spaghetti squash in the oven, one thing that I want to start is our chicken. So two things that I kind of forgot to mention earlier is this dish can be made in under 30 minutes. Two components that I would highly recommend doing either the night before or the morning of, so that way you can pull all your ingredients out, whip this up really quickly, and be done, are getting your chicken marinated and your spaghetti squash prepped. So I typically will marinate my chicken if I know we're going to eat this for dinner. Like let's say today we were going to eat it for dinner, I would be marinating it the day before, so 24 hours in advance. If you quickly go to the store, grab the ingredients, and want to make this on the fly, then you can marinate your chicken about 2 hours beforehand, and it will still get plenty of good flavor. So one thing that I love to do to my chicken in order to get a good cook or an even cook and to make it cook quicker is to tenderize it. So I usually use a tenderizing mallet and flatten my chicken out. If you don't have a tenderizing mallet, you can take your chicken breasts and slice them in half this way and make cutlets. So I have 2 chicken breasts here because we are a household of 2, and I typically eat about half a chicken breast with my meal, and Brad will eat a whole one. But if you have a family of 4 chicken breasts, 6 chicken breasts, and so on. This recipe will be located in the description underneath the video, so you can click the link and get all the recipe details, including the nutrition information. So for our marinade, I'm going to go ahead and whip this up. We're going to do a 1/4 cup of olive oil. So really simple, and I love to use olive oil just because I love the flavor of it. I always have to get on eye level and make sure I get enough. And so 1/4 cup of olive oil and a 1/4 cup of balsamic vinegar. So I always eyeball this. And then just a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. So I'm gonna stick our chicken breasts in there. And I like to use a Ziploc bag because I can kind of air seal it. You can always use a bowl if you don't have Ziploc bags. And I'm gonna wash all this stuff off because I'm touching it with nasty chicken hands. We're gonna just pour our marinade over the chicken. And we'll just kind of massage the chicken breasts, make sure they're all coated, and seal it off. And I'm gonna stick this in the fridge. I already have a pre-prepared bag of chicken ready to go. So I'm gonna stick this in the fridge so we can use it on a later day. You can also marinate this chicken and freeze it for future use. So I'm gonna do that with this one, so that way we can use this maybe for dinner next week. So now we have our chicken cooked and it's resting for 10 minutes, and it's time to shred our spaghetti squash before we make our final component of this dish, which is the sauce. So I have the spaghetti squash, I pulled it out of the oven, I allowed it to cool for about 10 minutes because it is so hot you will burn your hands. So I'm going to pull out half the spaghetti squash, and I'm just going to take a fork and I'm going to just shred like so. Okay, so now I have both sides of my spaghetti squash shredded. I have an entire 9x13 pan full of spaghetti squash noodles for our recipe, and we are going to finish up the final component of this recipe, which is the sauce. And I love this sauce because it is so easy and it's made with minimal ingredients. All you have to use is olive oil, tomatoes, onion, and garlic. Super simple. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to slice up our onion. Thing we're going to do is throw all of our sauce ingredients into a skillet. So I'm going to use the same skillet that I cooked the chicken with. I just went ahead and cleaned it out, kind of wiped it down a little bit. I'm going to heat the skillet over medium-high heat, get it really nice and hot. Then I'm going to turn it down to medium-low heat. For our sauce, like I said, it's just a few components. We have our chopped onion, and then I'm going to add about a tablespoon of minced garlic. You can use fresh garlic. I like to just use the store-bought minced garlic because it's a lot easier than having to press my own garlic or mince my own garlic. So, and then our half of the onion that has been diced, and then we're going to add a cup of olive oil. So the olive oil is the component that makes our sauce. Alright you guys, we now have a finalized and plated dish. So the last thing to do is to grab some fresh basil, chop it up, and throw it on top as a finishing touch. If you are not lactose intolerant like I am, I recommend even sprinkling just a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top, and you have a delicious, light summer dish that the whole family will enjoy, and it's low carb as well. So thank you guys so much for joining me this Friday. I am so excited to continue this series, so stay tuned for next week where we'll cook another fun, delicious, healthy recipe together. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you never miss a recipe. Have a great day, you guys.